The global community, no doubt, is scrambling for the most effective means of containing the coronavirus, with Italy extending its restriction of movement to cover the whole country. Restriction of movement, whether organized or subconscious, is adversely affecting trade and businesses. Just last week, one of Europe's biggest regional airlines, Flybe, collapsed and folded up. Although with its own challenges but further pressurized by the outbreak of COVID-19, India has restricted drug exports while stocks and non-oil prices continue to plunge into all-time low. To cut the long story short, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has admitted that global growth will be weaker than 2019, with all the indications showing dim of hope. How can Nigeria weather the storm? This is our focus on Panorama from the Lagos Network Center. I am Dotun Okunyemi. Thank you for joining us. Now let's begin with the coronavirus. Now the second coronavirus patient will begin treatment at the Infectious Disease Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. This follows his transfer from the isolation center in Iwekoro, Ogun State. Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, disclosed this during the daily media briefing on the coronavirus situation in the state. Joy Ken Abakoya has details.
The second patient, a male from Ogun State, is the first transmission case of coronavirus in Nigeria. He is among the 40 persons who had close contact with the index case and has been in isolation for more than 10 days.
Now the good news is that we had the individual under surveillance. So that significantly minimizes the chance of transmission to a large number of people. I, in consultation with Mr. Governor, agreed that we will receive this second patient at our Yaba facility, where we have the appropriate infrastructure, and we have the appropriate trained staff, and we have all the necessary equipment to manage dangerous infections.
Giving an update on the Italian index case, Professor Abayomi says he is in a stable condition but still secreting the virus. The commissioner says the search for 2 male individuals who arrived in Nigeria with the index case is on. He is appealing to them to come forward to get tested to be sure they are coronavirus free. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakoya, NTA News.
Now that Nigeria has 2 cases of the novel coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, to deal with, port managers have put in place several measures to avoid the spread of the virus across the seaports. Now, this was the target of a sensitization meeting between officials and terminal operators, as well as other key players in the sector. Imolayo Tokede has details.
The nation's ports are major entry points for goods and persons into the country. And like the international airports, the virus could be brought in through the ports from other countries. This is why key players are meeting to discuss comprehensively on global best practices to be implemented to tackle the virus.
We deem it fit that there's need for us to discuss what we have done, what we have put in place, and of course what is expected of the terminal operators for them to be able to curtail this menace.
Part of the recommendations include frequent use of hand sanitizers, face masks, temperature screening machines and hand washing stations at all entry points. The setting up of isolation center to attend to emergencies at the port is also in the making.
Before COVID, there would have been just 1 yellow flag. But with COVID, we are now saying 2 yellow flags so that you are alerting everybody that there is a suspected case on board. And that will now, alert the Port Health as well as our pilots that are going on.
The Nigerian Ports Authority is appealing for more collaboration with other agencies to ensure the seaports are free of the virus, tasking terminal operators to report any suspected cases by calling these emergency numbers. In Lagos, Imolayo Tokede, NTA News.
In the meantime, worried over the impact of the coronavirus disease on the nation's economy, President Muhammadu Buhari has constituted a 5-man committee to quickly assess the situation and advise the federal government on the next line of action. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the committee is chaired by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed.
The committee, which has 2 days within which to complete its assignment, comprises the Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Clement Agba, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mele Kolokeri. Briefing newsmen after a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, Chairman of the committee and Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed said discussions centered on the dwindling oil fortune as a result of the global pandemic and the best way forward for Nigeria.
Our mandate is to make a very quick assessment of the impact of this coronavirus on the economy, especially as it affects the crude oil price. But it is very clear that we will have to revisit the crude oil benchmark price that we have of $57 per barrel. We have to revisit it and lower the price. Where it will be lowered to is the subject of the work of this committee. What the impact will be on that is that there will be reduced revenues to the budget, and it will mean cutting the size of the budget. The quantum of the cut is what we are supposed to assess as a committee.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, said apart from the coronavirus disease, the volatility in the oil market is also attributable to the disagreement between Saudi Arabia and the Russian Federation, which he said Nigeria is not in a position to intervene.
We believe that in the coming days, when all of us begin to see the effect of the reduction of prices, OPEC and OPEC Plus might need to meet again and reconsider our position. Meanwhile, we expect also a lot of discussions going on at the level of Saudi Arabia and Russia. But as Nigeria, we are not in a position to begin to engage members on this matter.
The committee is to submit its report to the President on or before Wednesday morning, after which the far-reaching measures to be taken by the federal government will be made public. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, it is no doubt that the outbreak of the coronavirus has crippled shipping activities and has affected business globally. Nigeria is grappling with a fair share of this global heat caused by the coronavirus and needs to boost her capacity to export and diversify the economy to stay afloat in the face of dwindling oil prices. Amaka O has details.
The latest impact of the coronavirus on the global economy is felt in the drop in crude oil price from $50 per barrel to $30 per barrel. This is because China is crucial to the world economy.
Factories closed down to minimize the rate of infection of the disease in China. So the demand for crude actually dropped because China is the largest importer of crude today in the world. So with Chinese decline in crude consumption, the price, there's oversupply of crude in the market, and the price had to crash.
Oil prices are the mainstay of Nigeria's economy. What should the nation be doing to sustain her economy?
If we should address the issue of insecurity, address the issue of power supply, take our subsidy, we would have created an economy that is more robust to deal with the crisis that have been emanated as a result of the coronavirus infection globally.
By the time they close importation and exportation become the order of the day, we will end up buying from Nigeria company. And by the time we have the content here in Nigeria, Nigeria will now become a business hub of Africa again.
Experts advise that efforts to contain the virus be sustained to further save global economy from plunging into recession. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Now, joining me live in the studio to talk more on this is a finance and investment expert, Samuel Sholanke Showumi. Mr. Showumi has 13 years experience in the capital market. You're welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, let me just ask this very first question. For some months now, definitely, we know that the COVID-19 has been ravaging the world, affecting businesses across continents, really. What is your assessment of the global economic situation right now?
Right now, judging from where COVID started from China, we all know that China has developed into a manufacturing hub for global economy, especially in the area of finished goods and intermediate goods that serves as a source of raw material to companies across different continents. Now, COVID attacked the supply chain of the world, and with that, it truncated manufacturing activities. And, in China, companies have to close down, people have to stay in there. It has a ripple effect. And the effect is that if other countries that buys from China cannot buy, definitely people who buys intermediate products from them, using them as their own source of raw material, will not be able to produce back home. So definitely is pushing the global economy into a very difficult position. So the impact is huge on global economy for now.
And the situation in Nigeria is also quite something to talk about. What has been the impact in Nigeria as we have recorded 2 cases now of the coronavirus?
Well, with the fear of the disease ravaging the whole country now, you can see that figures from Nigerian capital market in recent days has not been that impressive. That is a signal, because the market has a direct correlation with what happens in the economy. It's a barometer for measuring economic performance. And our market is information sensitive. Whatever news that comes into the market, either good news or bad news, definitely the market will react towards it. Now we are seeing stock prices, falling to, the lowest point. You understand? So it tells you that people are losing money, really. So, and it has a huge economic impact on our market. But be that as it may, volatility that comes with the advent of the disease is also something that the market survives on. It's the beauty of the market. Volatility itself is the beauty of the market. So it is highly impactful on our market. It is highly impactful on the economy at large. Last week I was talking to some experts from the hospitality industry. Currently some 5-star hotels are experiencing reservation cancellation, and that speaks volume. It's going to reduce their earning capacity. It's going to truncate their projection. But in all, for us to be able to assess the real impact, by the time companies start churning out their first quarter results, then we'll be able to measure in totality what has actually happened.
Now, we watched that report where the federal government is taking steps to really look at how to address this situation, and knowing that Nigeria largely depends on oil revenue, and with the dwindling raw oil resources right now, what would you say this committee needs to do, and in your own opinion, what should be done?
The step taken by the federal government is a right step in the right direction. At this point in time, the problem is global, and every government across the globe are coming out with different measures of containing the virus. It is good that the federal government has set up a 5-man committee. It is so good. But be that as it may, we should move beyond setting up the committee. We should start thinking about decisive measures, because definitely we are going to have some companies that are going to be badly affected, especially the oil and gas sector. They are going to be badly affected, and it would be good if government can start taking in the direction of making a kind of a financial aid available to businesses that are most vulnerable to the advent of coronavirus.
All right, Mr. Shomwe, we'll get to talk more about this. We'll take this very quick break. Panorama continues shortly.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it. Don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA. Slavery is an evil practice abolished all over the world over 200 years ago. But today, human traffickers are selling human beings as slaves in Africa. It is your responsibility to make sure that you and the people you know do not fall into slavery. Don't believe fake promises of jobs abroad.
People went to say Libya, Italy no use you when they carry me on top water. 4 days now they lock me for inside house, no food, no water. I nearly die. Now God, when me heaven and earth, now save me. If you get 1 naira for Nigeria, you get junior one, you say you no get papa, you no get mama, now make you come out. I beg go they do farm work. You better pass person when enter road.
Don't accept to travel to Europe through the Sahara Desert. You may be walking into slavery. Don't be a slave.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Many thanks for staying with us. I still have Mr. Sholanke in the studios with me. We're talking about the impact of the coronavirus on global economy as well as the Nigerian economy. Before we went on that break, we're talking about oil prices, but we also know that Nigeria is also largely import dependent. Now that we've had this reduction in importation, what should local producers, local manufacturers be doing to take advantage really of the situation?
Oh, thank you very much. Firstly, before we look at what local manufacturers should be doing, we will look at what government can do to even spur the local manufacturer into action. What is most important now is finance, because it's finance that will drive productive activity. So government should be looking in the direction of lowering the cost of finance. You understand, the interest rate. You understand, so as to encourage investment. Now we have coronavirus. Fine, it is good. You understand? One thing we must understand is that whatever comes up in life has both positive side and the negative side. Our local manufacturer can now look inward to start producing those goods that we used to import. You understand? So, but government needs to work on it, and government needs to step up the game. I so much fancy the statement made by the Minister for Finance, you understand, saying that the government has started looking at whether they are going to review the budget. That is to tell you that government is proactive. They are not sleeping over the issue. They are ready to face the real reality. And part of it is making soft landing for manufacturing companies to spur into productive activities, you understand, by trying to lower the cost of finance. So once that window is there, manufacturers can now, step up their own game in line with that, access those finance, and go into productive activity, which in tandem we definitely trickle down to increasing employment. People will start getting jobs, and this is what we need really. The advent of coronavirus presents itself the good and the bad. So every country all over the world has the choice to choose the path they want to follow. Whether you want to look inward and start thinking about yourself, because in reality, with what is happening between Russia and Saudi Arabia again, raising a oil price war, you understand, it tells you more that the superpower are getting more of protectionism than globalization. You understand? So each country, Nigeria as a country, we have to look inward. Let us look inward and look at how we can encourage our people to move into real production.
Now, before I let you go, let's look at what the country should do differently. You rightly mentioned that certain sectors have been affected, but we know that healthcare, for example, would be, as we imagine it, booming, so to speak. But what really should the country do differently to take advantage of this situation?
Oh, thank you very much. For the healthcare sector, the first thing is this is not the time to look for self-glory. This is not the time to be motivated for self-aggrandizement. This is the time for the professionals in that sector to come together at the rallying point and face research. With collective research, we can actually moving towards finding a solution. You know, it is very, very possible that Nigeria might even be the country to even dictate the cure. It is not a rocket science. Science is science everywhere. We have professors, we have health practitioners in this country that are up to the task. But all they need to do is for the government to provide intervention fund. You understand, that can support them into research. All the research institutes in Nigeria now should go into full action. You understand? They should go into full action. The whole world is still looking for the cure. Nobody has the cure. So with the two cases we have now, it is just like we're looking for something to start our research from, and we now have them. We have sample that we can actually work with towards getting the solution to the cure. So health professionals should just come down, humble themselves, come together as a unified force, together with the support of the federal government, assisting the health ministry, to spur people into research work. And with that, before you know it, it's going to turn into serious, economic activities. Serious. That will even be the rallying point for our economy.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Samuel Showmi Sri Lanka, for your thoughts on that particular matter. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And now, meanwhile, in the meantime, Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has approved the appointment of Aminu Ado Bayero as the new Emir of Kano. This followed his nomination by a 4-member Kingmakers Committee of the Emirates. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Have been directed by His Excellency the Executive Governor of Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, OFR, based on the powers conferred on him by the provision of Section 11, subsection 1 of the Kano State Emirate Council Law 2019, that is equivalent to Hijrah 1441, to announce the appointment of Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, the former Emir of Bichi Emirate, as the new Emir of Kano.
60-year-old Aminu Ado Bayero is the second son of late 13th Fulani ruler of Kano, Alhaji Ado Bayero. The 1984 graduate of Mass Communications from Bayero University, Kano, Aminu also holds a master's degree in business administration. Subsequently, he trained and worked as a commercial pilot till the early 1990s when he was turbaned Dammaji by his late father, Alhaji Ado Bayero. From that period to May last year, when he was appointed Emir of Bichi, Aminu held various other titles including Damburam, Traki, Sarkin Dawakin Sakargida, and Wambai. He succeeded Muhammad Sanusi II, who was deposed following allegations of disloyalty and violation of some provisions of new Kano Emirate law amended by the state government. Sanusi has been on the throne since June 2014. He succeeded the 13th Fulani Emir, Alhaji Ado Bayero. Muhammad Sanusi II served as the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria between 2009 and 2014. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Ahead of Olympic qualifiers, Nigeria Volleyball Federation invites 8 male beach volleyball players to camp in Kaduna. Olumide Ikuntola has this and more on Sports Update.